Welcome to the Porn Reboot Podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode.
I'm going to call you out today. You're the guy who has convinced himself that his problem with pornography is not as important as you think it is. And what I mean is you're never going to use the word rebooted or recovered when asked, hey, what's going on with your behavior with pornography? If you were asked, let's say by me, a reboot strategist, your accountability partner that you haven't spoken to in a year. Now, things are good, man. I found a way to deal with it. It's under control, but you will not use the word rebooted or recovered. Why is that? You will not use that because doing so will make you open up a door within you and reveal all the strong emotions that you are suppressing right now. You're busy. You have chosen to focus on work, focus on your fitness, focus on your family, your kids, focus on anything but this behavior with pornography. You have made a deal with your unconscious and you've said, you know what? I've realized that if I just don't pay attention to this porn thing, then it isn't that big a deal. And I think this is what it feels like to be a normal guy. But that isn't true, is it? Because the type of pornography you are viewing right now is not the type of pornography that you were viewing when you got into this. You are still stuck at the type of pornography, the genre of pornography, when you were at the highest point of your acting out. So if it's something like transgender pornography, rape-themed pornography, things that are illegal, let's just call it abuse of individuals who you shouldn't legally be having sex with. Some of you are doing that. I know that for a fact. You are viewing that. What would your wife think? What would your current or future girlfriend think if they saw the type of material that you were watching? That is the question I want you to ask yourself. Would you be like, nah, it's not a big deal. That's just something I'm into. Simple question. I'm serious. Ask yourself, if my girlfriend, current or future, if my wife were to see the pornography I was watching, what would I feel? Would I just feel normal amount of shame? Like, man, she saw me watching pornography. Or would I feel a great amount of shame? Would I consider offing myself? That pauses for you to think about it, by the way. You have convinced yourself that this isn't a problem anymore. The reality is that it is still very much a problem because you still experience shame after you viewed pornography. And my brother, that is not normal. This suppression of the emotion, this game you're playing with yourself, because you are functional now. You're like, bro, it's been months. Shit, it's been a year and a half. It's been 3 years. And, I don't think I have a problem. That's because you're no longer counting how often you view pornography. You could be viewing pornography 4 times a week. If I was to ask you, you'd be like, handful of times, maybe I would say 4 or 5 times a month. No, it's not. It's more like 3 times a week or 4 times a week. But you're not counting because you're so busy repressing the strong emotions. Here's what's happening. Today, I'm going to talk about something called, I'm just going to title this episode, Can't versus Won't. In any point in time, if you are not actively rebooting, you have one of 2 subconscious thoughts happening. I can't quit pornography versus I won't quit pornography. Now, it doesn't matter which one you have right now. I want you to understand that you are choosing how you behave regardless of how you feel. So if you feel like I can't quit pornography, that is a choice. And if you feel that I won't quit pornography, that is also a choice. But I want to tell you a truth as a rebooted man and as a man who has helped thousands to freedom. I believe it's quoted to Tom Robbins. It is better to be in danger and free, or at risk and free, I'm paraphrasing, than it is to be a prisoner and comfortable. Your choice of I can't quit pornography or I won't quit pornography is keeping you in a prison. You do not see the prison, but I assure you, the reason why your life is not progressing at the speed you would like it to progress is because of this very thing, this constant repression, this comfort that you find yourself in. Even if you were not to quit pornography, if you were to make the conscious choice to reboot, even if your behavior escalated because you had decided to pay attention to it. So right now you're like, yeah, I watch pornography 4 times a week, and you decide you're going to reboot, and suddenly it escalates because for the first time ever, you are now aware of it, which does happen sometimes. You're still in a better position. You will notice that your life will actually expand. You will start taking more risks. Why? Because you've completely changed your frame and the way you are looking at life. You have decided to stop pretending that your problem doesn't exist. It's like somebody who's overweight. They're comfortable. You are used to living with your discomfort, so you fooled yourself into thinking you're comfortable because that is your reality. But the moment you decide that you are going to start trying to lose weight, well, everything becomes hard, doesn't it? You find yourself binging more after you go to work out because you feel that you have to reward yourself. You find yourself having these crazy random cravings, and you stuff your face with food you shouldn't be at random moments. And you're like, wait a minute, I wasn't stuffing my face this much. I wasn't binging this much when I was overweight. Why is this happening now? But it doesn't change the fact that you are still losing weight. It doesn't change the fact that you're still getting your dream body, even though it feels harder than it was when you were overweight. The same thing happens with your behavior with pornography. It is better to be free. You are still in the process of freedom than it is to be a prisoner and comfortable, because that is where growth happens. The frustration that you will eventually feel, if you're not already feeling it and doing a great job at hiding it, that frustration, you don't get frustrated about the fact that you are not capable of quitting pornography. You get frustrated right now because you know that you are capable of quitting pornography. Deep down, you're just like, I know I can do this. It's just freaking scary to do so. It feels very painful to do so. It feels really bad to be able to gain control for a certain amount of time and then find myself right back to where I was. That's the reason why you're not taking any action right now. You are frustrated over knowing that you're capable of doing it, and you're still choosing the comforts of pornography over taking action and rebooting. That is where all your frustration comes from. It is simmering below the surface subconsciously. That frustration. Every time you view pornography and you give yourself that self-talk like, yeah, not a big deal, wipe myself up, wear my pants, take a shower, try to ignore this slight brain fog, tell my wife some story or hope she doesn't ask to have sex, tell her it's stress and I'm tired and there's a lot of stuff going on at work, my dick's not working, even though deep down you know it's pornography. But deep down there is a frustration. You're completely fooling yourself. You will ascribe everything else to your problems in life except the one that is right there and you are engaging in 4 or 5 times a week or every day of the week. You are choosing comfort over commitment, and that is the commitment to do what is required. Listen, quitting porn, rewiring your brain, rebooting, it is not impossible, but it is uncomfortable. That is my message to you today. Those of you who have been holding back, those of you who are, I'm taking a break from rebooting to focus on something else. This is a story you've told yourself. It's not impossible. It's quite uncomfortable. I will tell you that. You subconsciously believe that by labeling uncomfortable actions, uncomfortable steps that you have to take as impossible, that you feel relief. You're not telling me or anybody else that quitting pornography is impossible. You're telling yourself. You're not even opening your mouth to say it. But the reason you're not trying is because you actually feel it's impossible. You're like, I know people do it. I know I could do it, but I still think it's impossible. And that's very frustrating. I don't want to face that reality that some people can do it, that I could possibly do it, but I still believe it's impossible. It doesn't even make sense. So why? Why label it impossible in the first place subconsciously? Because of the relief it brings you. But you must understand that you are losing internal strength each time you choose comfort. Each time you listen to a podcast like this, and you're like, you know what? This is kind of making sense. I think I want to, you know what? No. This is not a good time to do it. You just lost internal strength. You don't even understand that. What you are actually doing is you are choosing a life without the power of choice. I'm saying it again. You are choosing a life without the power of choice. Even though you have a choice, the choice of I can't quit porn or I won't quit porn, even though you're choosing, either one of them is still a disempowering choice. I hope I'm not getting too deep for you guys. You're choosing disempowerment either way. I won't quit porn. Why won't you quit porn? Well, I won't quit porn, JK, because you wouldn't tell me this, right? This is just a conversation happening in your head. Because frankly speaking, I've tried many times and it doesn't work. I know that most guys view pornography. I see things getting more and more sexualized. And frankly speaking, I don't think it's worth it. I think life is too short to spend most of my life dealing with this. It brings up a lot of shame. It brings up a lot of guilt. It seems like it's super hard. And dude, like I still have sex. I still have sex sometimes. I'm still functional. I'm doing well in business. Life is kind of going well. So I won't quit porn. That's exactly what you would say if you had the balls to say it, but you'll never say so. And I can't quit porn is, listen, I've tried on my own. I've used willpower. I do pretty well in my life. In fact, I may have tried your program before. I've tried other programs. Dude, I have gone hard at this, but the urge is just too strong. I can't do it. Both of those are choices, but both of those are disempowering choices, which interestingly enough, when you choose one of two disempowering choices, you still are living without the power of choice because you are not choosing an empowering choice. What happens with your life when the only choices you choose between are disempowering ones? Well, you are refusing power in your life. Where do you think a life or that energy or that decision-making process, choosing something empowering in your life, goes to when you completely deny it? Let me change tracks for a second because some of you might be losing me. Let's use money, for example. We've used weight. Let's use money. I can't be wealthy versus I won't be wealthy. Neither of those things, those choices, are going to lead you to wealth. I won't be wealthy and I can't be wealthy. So you're not making the choice of I will be wealthy. So what happens when you are making a choice between two disempowering stances? Where does the power to constantly make empowering stances and empowering decisions go? It goes somewhere. It goes to outside circumstances. The I can't and the I won't still creates frustration because you know there are people who can and will. And deep down, you know that you can and you will. So where does that energy go? Do you just deny it and pretend it doesn't exist? Everything that you suppress eventually becomes repressed. Repression simply means that you no longer recognize that which you have suppressed for so long. So it comes out in a very fucked up way. Men who over time suppress any, let's say, homosexual desires. Maybe growing up, you were told that, you know what, all these things mean that you are homosexual, that you are gay. If you do this, if you do that, even when you were a kid and you were innocent and you were just playing around, you're not gay, you're a straight man, but you did certain things and you noticed that, oh, being homosexual is bad. So you never wanted to think about it. You never wanted to address it. You always assumed that it was bad and it was dirty and it was unnatural. To an extreme degree, you never chose to acknowledge it. What happens? Eventually, that which you have suppressed comes out in a messed up way. And you find a lot of men who are straight men because they never sat down to logically talk about homosexuality or rationally think about it. And again, I want to make it clear. I'm not implying that a part of you is gay and that's why it came out. No, I'm saying you're a straight man and you're watching transgender pornography and gay pornography for precisely this reason. You never sat down and rationally thought about, like, you know what? I don't feel anything towards that. And let me try to understand where it comes from. Why are some men like that? Is it natural? Is it not natural? Is it unnatural? I don't care. I'm not moralizing here. I couldn't give a shit. But you decided that it was bad, bad, bad. I'm never going to examine it from a philosophical view. I'm never going to examine it from a religious view. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm simply going to condemn it. It comes out, not for everybody, but for quite a few men. And gentlemen, this is not an exaggeration. We have thousands of straight men, thousands of married men, thousands of men who have been claiming to be straight, thousands of men who have been preaching, conservative men who have been preaching against homosexuality, who secretly are doing other things. And you are likely one of them. It comes out as repression. So with finances, what happens? You are going to end up blaming the outside. Just as with homosexuality, and it ends up showing up in pornography, or it ends up in showing up as hate or violence towards individuals who are homosexual, blaming them for different things in your life, even though secretly you view pornography with transgender individuals, the same thing would happen with wealth. I can't versus I won't. So you repress everything else, and it comes out. It comes out as you blaming the government, wealthy people, billionaires, business owners. Everybody else is cheating somebody in order to become wealthy. While secretly, if given the opportunity to be wealthy, you would grab it. Secretly, you're trying to start a business. Secretly, you're playing the lottery. Secretly, you're on a trading app trying to play around with stocks. Secretly, you are mentally masturbating about wealth. Secretly, you're watching TV shows and enjoying TV shows about the wealthy. The same thing happens with your out-of-control behavior. You are blaming something on the outside for this. Those who are very Christian, very religious, will blame the devil. They will blame evil. They will put it on some entity external to them. Sometimes you will even put it as an entity that is internal to you, but it's evil, it's bad. Others will blame the porn industry, society. Some will even blame me. And the recovery industry, which I'm not a part of, by the way. Oh, y'all are just preying on people. But that is just a reflection of your repression. Listen, there are consequences to telling yourself that you cannot do something. When you pretend that you are not suffering, there are consequences to telling yourself that you can't do something. And pretending that you are not suffering the consequences of your current behavior doesn't make the consequences any less real. The consequences of your behavior with pornography are real. Whether you choose a philosophy, a religion, or something that justifies your pornography use to the extent that you are engaging in it. Every time that you pull back, every time that you flinch in the face of discomfort being moving towards ending your behavior, you start playing the game of life at a smaller and smaller level. And soon you have created this history in your life of not taking action. And that is the very reason why, if you have struggled with this behavior for years, but you never pulled the trigger on actually getting professional help, that is the reason why you are stuck. I hear it all the time. I have men who apply to some of my other programs. We have 20s Mentor, we have 7-Figure Sober, and they're stuck. But it's wonderful how they justify their situation. I'm like, you're on the call with me and you're applying because you want to improve your business. You want to become a high performer. You want to improve your financial station in life. But you somehow find the need to tell me how comfortable you are. I make $150,000 a year, make $200,000. My life is pretty good. I don't give a fuck. You are on the call. It's not what you say. It is what you do. Why are you here? Why do you feel the need to tell me how comfortable you already are? What is the origin of that story that you feel you need to punctuate everything with? I am here for help, but pretty comfortable. That is your protection. You are protecting yourself from your reality. That is the story you've told yourself over and over again. But you are speaking to me because you are already stuck. The bottom line is, my brother, do what is required right now, or you will repeat your history and you will create a history of smallness, of frustration, and of secretly blaming external circumstances for your current situation.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, If you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot Group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.